Protests come in different forms, yellow, black, red, almost like in a song. But in essence, I remember just a year ago, the outrage of the European Gardens inhabitants spilled onto the streets almost daily. Spoiler, they achieved nothing. They resigned and went into energy-saving mode. However, the powerful of the world did not abandon such technology. After all, a controlled crowd can not only draw attention to the impoverishment of the population, but also start revolutions. The main thing is to find the sore spot, just like the supposedly popular protests in Serbia. For several months now, Serbian students have been protesting, demanding justice for the 15 people who died due to the roof collapse at the train station in the city of Novi Sad, and punishment for all those responsible for the tragedy. And the guilty, according to the mini Soros and older Soros, are of course the authorities. In all sins at once.
I protest against the entire system that led to the collapse of everything, from school education to the collapse of buildings and the death of people. Corruption, the police are corrupt, the judicial system is corrupt, everything is just falling apart.
I wonder what this man said when NATO forces bombed what was once Yugoslavia. And why is he so grateful to the West if he goes against his own people? However, money is such a thing, it draws you in, especially when it's enough to express the right civic position for cash in your pocket. Vučić understands and knows this well, so he doesn't fall for provocations. The attempt to overthrow the government is punishment for Belgrade remaining loyal to its longtime allies.
In Serbia, they are twisting arms. And when President Vučić says we will not deviate from the course of joining the European Union for many years. And all these years he hears in response, yes, we are waiting for you here, but first you must recognize Kosovo's independence. That is, the Serbian people, the Serbian president, are invited to self-humiliation. And secondly, you must of course join all the sanctions of the European Union against the Russian Federation.
Slovakia also suffers for its relations with Russia. How dare they go against the European family and work in their own country's interests? Well, Bratislava won't have cheap gas, but there will be multi-million-dollar losses, which Brussels might cover someday. The main thing is that Kyiv doesn't fall apart prematurely. So it's not surprising that after Prime Minister Fico's visit to Moscow, he was branded a traitor, and thousands of dissatisfied people took to the streets. Their leader was unexpectedly a Czech actor. Well, at least he doesn't hide, and his name speaks for itself.
If we want to answer our children about what we did when the fate of Slovakia, Ukraine, and Europe was being decided, we must not remain silent. With his scandalous trip to Moscow, Fico makes the country an ally of Putin in the eyes of the world.
But they decided to go further. A team from Brussels followed for the parliamentarians. Brave opposition members, feeding from the EU trough, immediately declared they would pass a vote of no confidence in the current prime minister. But one hopes that since Fico survived an assassination attempt, he will handle this trouble too. It's restless now where the collective West may soon lose its positions. In Germany and Austria, sensible politicians advocating cooperation with Moscow are also coming to the forefront. After the head of the Austrian Freedom Party, Herbert Kickl, received the president's blessing to form a government, the masses rose against him. No, you can't say they are bribed. Rather fanatics, trusting liberals. And they have already dubbed Kickl the new Hitler for his anti-migrant policy and of course for his intention to befriend Russia. Welcome to Zombieland.
Throughout Europe, there is a danger of fascist forces coming to power, and the fact that Austria could play a leading role in this, I find extremely sad and dangerous.
They work by the same playbook in Germany. Alternative for Germany, firmly securing top positions in the chancellor elections, continues to be the subject of a witch hunt. The party has been accused of fascism, racism, and other epithets. Not long ago, right before the AfD Congress, where Alice Weidel was finally nominated as the party's candidate, a crowd of protesters tried to block the event. Surprisingly, their plans were thwarted by timely arriving law enforcement. By the way, most of the protesters were not locals. They were gathered centrally from different cities.
Alternative for Germany is indeed a dangerous party. It is essentially fascist, and we must ensure that people see, realize, and understand the danger AfD poses to Germany and Europe.
Well, agree, almost word for word, as in Austria. And do you know what Alternative for Germany adopted as their election manifesto? Correct, a very dangerous statement that the war in Ukraine undermined the European world order and the indication of the need to restore unhindered trade with Russia. And something else intended to hit the green agenda. Isn't it fascism indeed?
We will restore the connection of operating nuclear power plants to the power grid and invest in next-generation reactors suitable for the future. We call for extending the operation time of coal power plants, as they are the safest, most environmentally friendly, and modern in the world in Germany. And we will resume the operation of the Nord Streams.
And against this backdrop, the protests in Romania stand out. In that country, which seemed to have completely sold out to Brussels, NATO, and other Westerners. But no, it turns out they still remember what democracy is. For days now, marches organized by the Alliance for the Union of Romanians party have not subsided. Participants demand the annulment of the Constitutional Court's decision to annul the presidential election results and the continuation of President Iohannis's powers.
We protest against the state coup on December 6th and demand a return to democracy by resuming the voting process from the second round. At the same time, we protest against the measures of the last government taken in recent weeks, which affect broad social categories and against disobedience to the Romanian people. You cannot lose an election and stay in place.
By the way, if you suddenly forgot, earlier the Constitutional Court did not count the presidential election results in which independent candidate Kelan Georgescu won. After long consultations with foreign partners, he was suddenly accused of ties with Russia. All because Kelan broke the unbreakable rule of not opening his mouth without a command from above, not promising friendship with Moscow. And as for the indignation of thousands of people, everyone in Europe has long known, for a just cause, protest or not, you will still get. Right? Nothing. That's the law of their jungle.